Let's bring in David Catanese. He's the senior politics writer for U.S. News and World Report. David, good to see you.
Good to see you, Shep.
Interesting to me, inside this poll, yeah, it has Carson leading, but inside it says of Carson voters, 55% say that they're not going to change their minds. They've made up their minds, that's it. But of Trump voters, 80%. Is that? Yeah, no, that's backwards. 55% of Trump voters say we're all in with Trump. 80% of Carson voters say we could still change our minds. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that this race is still fluid. And look, this is a national poll that had a 4-point difference between Carson and Trump. And this poll also has a 6-point margin of error. Yep. So the smarter Trump argument is to say, look, we're basically tied. He's not ahead of me. He shouldn't, trash the poll. Or you could look at the sample size, which is about 500 people nationwide. That's a way to go at it. But look, the race is fluid. Overall in this poll, it said 70% of all Republicans are willing to change their mind. Only about 20% are with the candidate. So we got a debate tomorrow. We're going to have another debate in 2 weeks. We're going to have another debate after that. Yeah. A lot can change in this thing.
Who stands to gain back over there? I mean, is it Ted Cruz? Is it Marco Rubio? Does Jeb Bush have a shot? What's your thinking?
I think Jeb Bush is in trouble. The advisors are rolling out sort of this new Jeb that we're going to see tomorrow. It's going to be sort of Jeb unfurled. I don't know how he changes perceptions given the last name he's got and the communicative problems that he has had in debates and on the stump. I think you're seeing the senators, oddly enough, Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Cruz sort of trying to vie for that spot if once the support of Donald Trump or Ben Carson dissipates, that one of those two are going to be there to pick it up. Cruz is more in that conservative anti-establishment lane. He's against anything coming out of Washington, even though he's a senator, while Rubio could potentially be the bridge candidate, the candidate that is satisfactory to the establishment, but also is good enough for the base who want something different.
And what about his stand on immigration? Can he still do okay in Florida, his own home state, despite it?
I think he can do okay in Florida. I think that's more of a problem for Rubio in the first state of Iowa. I think that's why he's sort of hit 10% and can't get above that. Look, the immigration thing is going to be something that Rubio has to explain away, that he partnered with some Democrats on a comprehensive immigration bill. And if Rubio continues to gain in the polls, you're going to hear more about that. But that attack can't come from Jeb Bush, remember, because he has the same opinion on that as Rubio does.
You look for a path. It would have been fascinating to be a fly on the wall of the two former presidents and all the advisors and the $100 million plus to try to figure out what did we do and where do we go now. That story is going to be an interesting one to read someday.
It's going to be very interesting, but I think the problem with the Bush team is that it may not be reversible at this point. People, a lot of they know the Bush name. This is, they're still getting to know Jeb, but if you look at Jeb's numbers in these polls, he's got a lower favorability rating among Republicans than Donald Trump. He's only in the 40s on favorability, whereas even Trump, with all his baggage and all the outlandish stuff he says every day, is still at 50%. So Bush has some big hurdles, and he really needs to hit it out of the park tomorrow night, I think, to assure donors that they're going to start fleeing him more and more.
David, fascinating. Good to talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Shep.